Okay, so I think we're live. I think I'm not entirely sure. We got to figure this out. We testing this out, seeing how it works. Um, we've been going through a lot of ups and downs lately with my computer and the resources we have and the different things we have. So we are trying to do our best right now to actually get these things to actually work. Um, we have been taking time off, but through the time off, we've also tried to establish a couple of things we did work on, and we have been working on our give me a second. We've been working on a bunch of things. We started doing a couple of things within the website, just basically to try to add. We're going to try to, I guess, formulate it in a different manner so that way we can help with the assistance with the stuff with veteran stuff, because that's, I think, one of the major things we're having is I think the explanation and the in-depth ability to understand what is actually going on with these things. And I think that's the part I think that we are having a problem with the most as veterans. I know I say that every week, but I think that's one of the biggest issues is that we are not allowing ourselves to be educated on these things when it comes to veteran affairs. One of the main things, one of the biggest news and the biggest announcements that they were saying, basically, it's the federal electronic health record. So for most people, they don't know that basically, if you have any medical records or stuff like that, you can actually get those and you can request that information to basically be able to get your documentation, which you will need and you will have to provide in order to be successful in your disability claims. Most veterans don't understand it, and most veterans don't view it that way. Like, you have to have documentation. A lot of veterans tend to say, oh, we don't like, or how can you say it? The VA doesn't want to help me. The VA doesn't want to do this. That's not the case. You need to help yourself first. You need to educate yourself first. You need to understand that all these things that are being done are to make you be successful. All these things that are being created is for you to be successful. It's not something that's just going to happen or it's just going to come out, out of nowhere. It's something that you have to ensure you are looking into. You are ensuring you are taking the appropriate actions to be successful. If you're not doing so, you're not going to be successful. And that's basically on every facet of life that you can go through. You can understand that. Now, with this change coming to the electronic health record, which was already established in December of this past year, which they basically announced that they were going to update it. This is something that people need to pay attention to, because there has not been a time, and I know for you veterans, if you served or you know somebody who served, just ask them how their medical records went. Ask them how your medical records were looked at. Ask them how some shit just wasn't in there, or some shit was misdiagnosed, or some shit was just like not valid information. Because a lot of the problems is that we have as veterans is that we don't keep our medical records. Who does? Who keeps their medical records? Who says, you know what? I'm gonna keep a copy of this. And it's like, oh, I went to the doctor. Let me get a copy of that. Nobody does that. So us in the military, we did it even worse on the fact that none of us captured any of that. Nobody goes to the doctor anymore and gets the paperwork unless it's given to you. Like, if you go to the emergency room, you leave with paperwork, and that's because they give you the packet of the paperwork of what happened there. You don't ask for it. You just glad you got to get the hell out of the damn ER and you go with it. The same way with any other doctor's visits. You don't ask for that documentation. So now that's paperwork that can supplement what you're trying to do. But most people don't do that. Most people would just be like, you know what? I'm out the hospital. I'm fucking happy. I ain't got no fucking issue. I don't need no paperwork. I'm just glad I'm fucking in good health and I'm out of here. And that's the problem we have, because most people don't keep their medical records. Who here has their medical records? Who here that's in the chat has gotten their medical records? has even looked at their medical records, has even attempted to see the timeline of when they got this or did that or shit. Most people can't even tell you the last time they were sick. If you had your medical records, you'd be able to say that though. How many people can actually say, yeah, the last time I was sick, it was just like, see, John Ross said, I just received mine from the Navy. I was just like, but you never looked at them before. You never thought about looking at it before. You never thought, hey, I'm gonna go to the doctor, and as soon as I get out, I'm gonna check all my shit. I'm gonna make sure to verify my stuff is in there. No one does that. So a lot of the times that's the problem that we have as service members or as veterans, where we never actually took the time to look at our records. Except 40 years later. And that's what I tell people. It was just like, if you look at it, nobody's looking at their medical records. And that a lot of the times causes a lot of problems with veterans and filing their disability claims after the fact. Why? Because if you went 40 years, that's a long ass time. If you went 40 years, if you went 5 years, 10, whatever time distance, you have a gap in, it's basically how they like to say, yo, gap in service. It's basically the same thing. You have a gap in medical history. Because literally you stopped once you got out the military. You ain't got no records no more. Your records are out the window. Not that they're out the window, because they still keep record of them, but your tracking ability has left. You don't have the ability, and you don't see the stuff that you've had in there. Now, that's also a basis for showing that your stuff has been aggravated. If you had something going on in that time period, now you went, let's say 20, 30, 40 years without having any documentation of that incident worsening. So now it makes it even more difficult for you to prove, because you can prove that it happened in the military, but then how can you prove that it worsened if you never got seen for it? You could have gotten seen, but you never went to your private doctor and be like, hey, can I get a copy of your medical records? Or can I get a copy of my medical records? People should be doing that every year. I'm bad at that. I don't even do it myself sometimes. But that's something that people need to start doing. They're just like, hey, get a copy of your medical records. What was put in there? What don't people understand? What do people need to visualize to be able to understand that it's just like, okay, this is in here, right? This is what I did. This is what I got seen for. This is what I got medication. This is the diagnosis I received at this stage, and this is how it's worsened. Most people don't make that connection, and that makes it difficult for you to be successful in your disability claims. Now, the same thing with this whole electronic health record modernization office. Is it a good thing? Yes, because they're trying to make sure that stuff is more up to date. So you have your information available. You have it more readily available and ready for you to access. Now, the issue is most of the time in the military, once you start changing offices or you start changing programs, stuff will be lost. So it's important for veterans right now or service members right now, get your documentation now before these changes come. Get your documentation now before they start changing the process or something like that. Make sure you have everything there. Filing for MST, Rosemary, what part of filing for MST claims? Because the thing is it's still gonna fall under a mental health evaluation, because you're gonna get evaluated for that also. So if it comes to an MST claim, you're gonna be evaluated through trauma, because then you can also claim that as PTSD. So it's depending on how you going about it and what you have to provide to do it, but you're going to get evaluated for that. They're going to ask you. It's going to be a tough time because you're going to have to explain what happened and go over what happened. But you have to make sure that you have the documentation for that. You have to make sure that you have, if it's buddy statements or witness statements or even like police reports and stuff like that, that's stuff you want to make sure that you have in there to do that. And that's part of your medical records, because if you got checked and all that stuff and got looked after, that's something you have to make sure you are prioritizing to make sure you have it as evidence that you will use to be successful. Because if you're not doing that, it makes it so much difficult to be successful because of the fact that you won't see that. You won't be able to see like, oh, this is what's going on. This is the documentation I have. This is how I'm processing this. And that's the thing. And that's the thing for any claim. The biggest thing is, so the thing is for MST, it falls under PTSD. What's up, Des? I was just like, and that's the, it's not a separate, I don't want to say, I'm not for sure, but I do not believe it is a separate claim because it still falls under PTSD and it still falls under a mental health evaluation. So it still falls under that part. The thing is what it does is it like ups your chance of getting a higher rating because you have trauma that was caused by an assault of whatever kind, and that is what brings it up. So it's basically still a mental health issue because it's still trauma that you're dealing with. So they just put that in as a claim of the same sort, basically. Because the thing is that's what happens if it has to do anything with mental health, anything of the sort. They basically combine it all as one claim, basically. So basically, let's say you have MST, you have trauma, you have PTSD, you have anxiety, you have obsessive compulsive disorder. You can have all these things. If you have all of these things, they are going to basically label it as the one that got you the highest rating. You will have all of these things, but they basically see it as this is what caused for you to get this 70% rating or this 100% rating. It was because of the MST causing this. Or it was because of the PTSD for this event, or it was because of your obsessive compulsive disorder is that bad that you can't function. That's what got you that rating. So that's how they do it. So it's always a combination because a lot of people sometimes think that it's just like if you combine and put all these if you put all of these things together, that it's just going to get you a higher rating. No, they basically go off of, hey, these are all the different things that you have that are dealing with mental health. We are going to rate all of these, but we are going to give you the highest rating based on which one disables you the most. So if your MST is the one that causes you to have less occupational and societal functioning, like forgetting stuff and all that stuff, that's where you're going to get that. That's where you're going to have that part right there. You're going to see that happen more because they're going to try to combine all those things. But the worst one is the one that's going to get you the highest rating because they're looking at the symptoms. Because you can have, as I did read some of my friends, including MSC. There you go. There you go. I appreciate you doing that, Rosemary. I would just say you gotta. It's you taking care of yourself, but it's you making sure that you have the documentation to do it. You said oil was Trump messing with my stock portfolio. That you can't claim that as combat though, Des. That's the thing. You can't. Look, you can say that your anxiety has been up because of the stuff going on with the country. You can say stuff like that. You feel like you are uncomfortable with going into places and stuff like that. If you're in an area where you have people that you don't agree with more, that can cause you tension. That can cause you anxiety. Good morning, Annette. I was like, that can cause you issues going to a place where you don't feel safe. And that might trigger issues of maybe when you were deployed, when you were on a patrol or something like that, where you had to go into an area and you didn't feel comfortable. Why? Because you're now in an area where you don't feel comfortable. That can bring up anxiety. Now, is that combat related? I don't think so. But it can worsen the situation and you may be dealing with more anxiety now because of these things that are happening in the country. That is a reasonable thing. Now, the thing is it affecting you in such a negative way that you are going to increase your disability claim? That depends on the symptoms and that depends on the CFR. So if you go into the CFR and you see that the CFR, you basically fall under that criteria where you would be able to get an increase because your anxiety levels or whatever mental health issue you have has increased, then you would be good to file an increase. Yes, well, that's what you have to. You got to make sure you are including statements. People that you know, people around you, your family members are people that experience you Because the thing is what most veterans don't understand, that a buddy statement or a witness statement, a life statement, your own statement goes very far and helps you a lot when it comes to your disability claim. Why? Because the thing is us as veterans, we're fucking hard headed. We are hard headed as shit. We don't like to listen to people sometimes. We don't like to pay attention. We like to have that mentality, you know what, we just gonna suck it up and keep on moving. But your family has to deal with you anyway. Your family has to decide, and your family has to deal with you. Your family has to decide with the fact that, hey, it might be that, hey, you might have PTSD, right? If you have a spouse that has to deal with you waking up in the middle of the night just screaming and yelling, that affects them. If you have anxiety where you can't go out to eat with your family, where you can't go to a dinner, or you can't go to a restaurant because you don't feel safe going to places where you see too much movement, or you got to make sure you're sitting at the corner booth where you can see every entrance and you can see everybody moving in and out. That's something that is affecting. That is something that a person that is viewing this can write a statement about, because now you have somebody actually assisting you with that and explaining to you like, hey, I can't go to eat with this dude. I'm not just saying dude, just a general, but I can't go to eat with this person because of the fact that, why? When we go out, we can't even enjoy our time eating out, because they're always on edge. They're always trying to do this. They're trying to look at this or trying to pay attention to the thing, that they don't even enjoy their food because they're just trying to look at what's going on around them, and they're not there in the moment. Those things are things that you can have a person write on and explain, and that goes in depth of the situation. I was just like, finally, John, nice, getting an increase to 80. 8 years of fighting. It takes time. It takes time to do that. Even like that's the thing with fireworks. With some people, fireworks, it does do that with certain veterans. The thing is that most people don't understand that, but that's a statement right there. That is a family member writing a statement like, hey, we used to be able to show up and have like a little fireworks display in our backyard, use this stuff. We can't do that because now he wants to stay inside, or she wants to stay inside. She doesn't want to be around the loud noise, and she doesn't want to hear the explosions, because you don't know what that person went through. Some of these people dealt with being in proximity to one of these explosions. So when they hear that loud bang, it just flashes to that moment when they were close to that loud bang. The person that's around them don't understand that, but that's something that when you see it happening, you can actually visualize it and you can write a statement on it. Like, hey, I go out and I see this every July 4th. We have to make sure that we drive away from people or anything to an area where we know there won't be any fireworks. We can't stay in the city anymore or something like that. That's something you write about. That's something you explain. But that's something that a veteran, when it comes to doing their CMP exam or the mental health evaluation, doesn't even think to process that. That's something that goes through your head and nobody will even think about it. No, nobody. That's the main thing. The reason I like doing these is because you have to give veterans different things. Yes, disassociating during family functions. That's a big one. That's one of the major things, because that alone shows your impairment. Because when you are disassociating yourself around your family members, the people that care for you, the people that look out for you, not just random people, because that happens when you out and about, you don't associate and you just like with people. But when you're doing it around the people that love you, and the people that love you realize this and they see that, that's something you need to put into a statement. That's something that helps with your mental health claim, because that is something that you telling your story about going to a family function and just sitting around, that doesn't explain much. Because the thing is you got to remember, these VA raters or these CMP examiners have no idea who you are, have no idea what you went through. It was just like, yes, they can read your paperwork and say, oh yeah, he deployed here, or he didn't deploy here. He went through this issue or went through that issue. But you need to paint that picture for them to be able to understand that, oh, this is the reason this happened. This is the reason why they have this impairment. This is the reason they act this way. This is the reason why we don't go to family functions anymore. I was like, those are the stories and the things that people don't do. Said, bro, you on some serious public service announcement shit today. Thank you. Des, this is what I do every Sunday. Because the thing is veterans need to hear the shit. Because the thing is they don't process it that way. It took me going to therapy to figure this out. I didn't realize I was doing this shit. I didn't realize it. It took me explaining and seeing it and then going through the process and writing the stuff down. See, yeah, went into detail. And when you do it that way, when that VA rater sees that, or that CMP examiner sees that, they'll be able to read it and understand. It was just like, oh, so he's claiming PTSD, but this is what happened. Okay, here we have the dependents having all these statements, and they are clarifying that, hey, we don't do this anymore. They have a limited amount of patience. They refuse to say these things. They don't want to talk about it, because most of the time we don't want to talk about our feelings. We just, like I said, drink water, rub dirt in it, keep it moving, get some ibuprofen, keep it moving, keep it pushing. That's what we used to doing. But that's the thing. That's something that you can put into a statement. That's something that most veterans don't even think about putting into a statement. Most veterans don't even know that they can put an actual witness statement or a buddy statement or their own statement into the issues. That's one of the main factors and the main things we deal with. Most people don't even know they can do that. You know how much stronger your claim is when you have multiple people saying how they see you? Multiple people saying, yes, I see him doing this. I see when we can't go out. I see when he doesn't like being around people. I see when he gets antsy when he's driving on the highway, when vehicles come too close to him. I see this, and I have to offer to change or offer to drive. I see these issues, and it's not even only the mental health issues. You got to remember that you can use these statements for everything. It's not just mental health. If you have issues with your back, you can explain that through your back. Yeah, that's what it is. Y'all on it. Losing emotional intelligence, creating a gap between civilians and veterans. There's a gap between that where they don't understand. And yes, most of the time it's hard for a veteran to say, "I'm fucked up, man." That's one of the hardest things we have as veterans to fucking say. Yo, we fucked up. I'm hurt. Most of us is too fucking prideful to say that. I'm hurt. My body hurts. My mental hurts. I can't do this. I can't do that. Most veterans are too hard-headed and too prideful to actually admit that they're dealing with the issues that they're dealing with. And all we do is end up hurting ourselves even more. That's all we're doing. All we're doing is we keep on hurting ourselves even more because we don't say anything. We don't voice anything. But that's why it's important to have that support system or those family members that are there that can acknowledge and see what they're doing. Because most of the time, us ourselves, you yourself, when you're doing something, you don't realize if it's wrong or not till it's way too far or too late. But when you have your family members like, hey, maybe you should go get seen for this. Maybe you should go talk to somebody. Or maybe you should get assistance. It's not that they're trying to downplay who you are. They just trying to see the better version of you because they don't see the same version of you that they saw when they first met you. The military for all of us, if we served or even if you are a family member, a dependent, even a kid, you see the difference in attitudes when a person deploys, when a person is serving in the military, and when they get out. But those are things that us as veterans don't realize. We don't realize we're dealing with trauma. we don't realize we have symptoms of certain things. We don't realize we got symptoms of anxiety. Oh, just like you get anxious when you go to a certain place. You just think it's just like you just got nervous. It was like, you know why? Because shit, too many fucking people around here. You know why, but you don't take that and think of it as, oh, that's anxiety. Or you don't look at it as like, oh, maybe this is PTSD from the times I went on patrol and came back and I made it back. Now all of us made it back. Those are the thought processes that a lot of people don't understand when it goes through it, but those family members see that. When you are making these claims, you have to write it down. Make sure you are writing down everything you go through. The same way you had that I Love Me book, which I hope you still have, you should have your I Hurt Me book. And that should be everything that you went through that hurt you, went through a bad time and stuff like that. And you should have that documented also. So that way you have a list of those times when you were successful and when you were not. But your family is one of the most important things. These are the people that deal with you on a daily basis. These are the people that see, I don't want to call them flaws, but it's kind of like a flaw that we have within ourselves that we can't acknowledge. I was just like, Roseberry, that's the thing. When you all those things, and that's why it's difficult sometimes to talk with people, because the thing is those are things that people don't realize and they don't want to talk about. But those are the things most of the time that pertain to why your disability claim wasn't successful. Because most of the time, veterans will downplay their illnesses or their mental health issues or their injuries. They will do the best they can to downplay these things because you tough, or you just didn't want to deal with it, or you just figured, you know what, I'm not going to do anything. And that's the part that people don't understand. That's the part that it's hard to justify and it's hard to talk to people about, because it's hard to come up with this stuff. It's hard to talk about your issues, but it's hard to actually be successful with your disability claims if you yourself can't put it into words what you're going through. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not seek assistance or not try to help yourself knowing that you're not okay. That's where we have the problem. That's where we have so many veterans that we lose, because they lose that purpose. They lose their ability to understand what it is they are supposed to accomplish after their time in service. They don't see that. They don't know this. It was just like some people left their homes and went in there. Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's where it's difficult also, and that's where there's a lot of dissociating with family, because of the fact that your family most of the time doesn't understand what you're going through. Your family has no idea what it is to be in a deployed environment. They heard you talk about it, but they don't know the feeling of like, hey, I may leave and I may not come back. That's a thought process that many people I don't wish upon. But a lot of people don't realize that when it's a veteran that deployed, especially if you're in combat arms and stuff like that, sometimes when you going to do something, maybe the last time you end up doing it. You don't know that, but that's a thought process that goes to, I just want to make it home to my family. Your family doesn't understand that. Your friends don't understand that because they've never been put into that perspective. But that's where sometimes it's good for veterans, and I think more veterans need to be telling their stories. Whether, no matter what it is, just have an outlet so that people understand. Also, I've been talking about new training so vets can excel at sales jobs or even culinary. I was just like, I just want veterans to be successful. I don't care what it is you're doing it at. Be successful. Be good. You sacrificed for this country. You lost a. We all lost as military service members. You lose a piece of yourself while you serving. Whether they want to agree with it or not. You lose a piece of yourself while you serve this country. You gain some amazing family, you gain some amazing friends, you gain a lot of experiences that you probably never thought you would, but you lose a part of yourself while serving this country. Great opportunity. I'd do it again. But you do lose a part of yourself. You lose that ability to know what you're doing. For some in the military, they get so institutionalized that they get, and the thought process is just like, I need to know where I'm going. I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know what uniform I gotta be in. I need to know what time it is. I gotta show up 15 minutes to the 15 minutes. Because I know y'all still do that shit. That's a habit that for me was fucking hard to do. I know y'all still show up 15 minutes early for an appointment, knowing damn well these people don't give a damn if you show up 15 minutes, 20 minutes early, you still gonna get seen at that time. You know how hard that habit was to break for me? The thing is there's a lot of training that has to happen, Sammy. It's not just finances. It's not just like a lot of this stuff can be done while these people are in service. And that's where we're lacking in the military right now. Now you have this whole nonsense of, oh, we want to make sure we're talking about lethality and we want to get rid of all this stuff and stuff like that. It was just like, we still the best military in the world, even though, yeah, some things could be gotten rid of. But at the same time, what care are we providing to make sure that these soldiers are taken care of? Because if you want to talk about being the lethality of the military, right, that would mean that you make sure they're not living in mold infested homes. That means that you're able to take care of them in their barracks. That means they have washing machines that work. They have dryers that work. They have those amenities that they don't have to worry about fixing or providing themselves to take care of themselves. You want to talk about lethality? Let's take care of the fundamentals first. The fundamentals is making sure that these barrack soldiers don't have mold or don't be or aren't told that, hey, just paint over it, or hey, sit your ass in a fucking room and just fucking bleach the whole shit down. You want to talk about lethality? That's where you started as. You got to start as making sure that they are taken care of, and the simple things they are being provided for, they can take advantage of and use to be effective. I can't be effective. I can't show up with a fucking clean uniform if I only got fucking one washer on the whole floor and the whole fucking thing is trying to fix it. Everybody trying to wash the same fucking day, and we only got one fucking washer in the whole fucking building. I dealt with that in fucking Germany. We had work orders put in for fucking buildings. I had the same fucking, it was a whole floor. And maybe there was about maybe like 40 something soldiers on this floor. Imagine only having 3 fucking working washers and then only 2 working dryers. The third one spun, but it didn't dry. Now, you mean to tell me you expect me to be on time? You expect me to have my uniform clean? You expect me to do this, and I can't even wash my clothes correctly? That's the lethality part we ain't talking about. So if we can't take care of service members now while they doing that, we're not preparing them as veterans either. So you can see where the failure starts. The failure starts at the beginning of the issue. It's not that that people just become veterans and just don't know what the fuck they doing. Veterans don't just end up, oh, you just became homeless because you became. No, this shit starts at the beginning. It's the process, because we're not educating military service members. Most military service members don't know how to budget their own fucking finances. So if a service member now on active duty in the reserves and stuff like that don't know how to budget their own money, what makes you think a veteran is going to be doing it any better? You didn't give them no financial, or just like, oh, we have financial assistance classes. Why ain't you doing that? That could be a once a quarter, once a year, 2 times a year class to make sure that these service members are educated on finances. Because a lot of service members are still on benefits. You know what that is? That you are serving this country, but you still got to claim WIC, or you still got to try to get SNAP benefits while you serving this country? Then to have it that they want to get rid of the shit? So you're going to have a person that's deciding to volunteer to fucking serve this country, but then isn't going to even have the resources to be able to have the mentality to be lethal because they trying to figure out how they going to pay their bills. Or they trying to figure out how they going to make sure there's going to be enough food in their fucking home for their kids to be successful. Like, those are the things that is just like we need to pay attention to. Lethality, yeah. We are still lethal regardless. We still have the best military in the world. We still have the best technology in the world. People can't compete with us. But the people we have, if we ain't taking care of them, we have a problem. Because those people ain't being successful. They're not being developed. And then they become veterans when they get out. Because you know why? They started realizing, you know what? These people ain't fucking taking care of me. And then they start realizing, like, damn, in the outside world, yeah, I got to do everything for myself. But if I need a fucking washing machine fixed, I could get the washing machine fixed. That shit isn't going to be a fucking 3 to 4 or 5 month fucking process to get a washing machine fixed. Is it going to be out of pocket? Yeah. But your shit going to be clean. When it comes to medical, most service members don't pay attention to their medical history. They don't pay attention to the medical documentation. They don't pay attention to any of that. And that is a big influence on it also. Because the thing is the problem we have with a lot of service members, and that's why I say alluding to the whole federal electronic health record system, that's something that people don't pay attention to. That's something that you can learn from the beginning. Your medical records is something that you need to know from the beginning, not when you already out, not when it's what 6. Because if you're doing the BDD process, you're doing it 6 months basically out of you ETS. And if that's the first time you ever seen your medical records or seen anything you've done, that's already a problem because you're already a step behind because you don't really know what the hell is in that shit. The fact that most service members right now can go get seen for something and are misdiagnosed. Being misdiagnosed is the biggest issue that service members and veterans have on the back end. Why? Because you had a dislocated disc and they just said it was a back sprain. So now, since you never got an x-ray, you never got an MRI, now you being looked at for a back sprain, but you claimed a dislocated disc. Now, when they look through your medical records, they're going to be like, look, we don't have anything in here that says dislocated disc. So how do we know you didn't get this or this didn't happen to you outside of the military? Because within the military, you just had a back sprain or back strain. That I fell into that category. That's why I was just like, damn, I didn't fucking know this shit. But then luckily I kept on bothering because the shit wasn't feeling any better. And I was just like, yo, I need an MRI. I need an x-ray. Oh, shit. You have a fucking dislocated bulging disc. I was like, oh, that's what's been causing the pain. So that's why I've been in pain for all these years. So I've had this, but y'all just said it was a fucking strain. So my medical records, if I would have gone now to when I filed, which I still deal with my back because I'm not getting no fucking surgery for it because I heard too many horror stories about that. But at the same time you have that, it's not in your record anymore because it wasn't diagnosed properly. You said you had a dislocated disc on your claim. In your medical records, there's no such thing as dislocated disc. And that's where a lot of veterans run into that problem because now you got to remember you have to provide evidence. You have to provide that evidence. But if the evidence of the thing says, hey, it was a back strain, dislocated disc, but then sometimes you're going to have to get a nexus letter, which I have on the website. If you check the website up here or you go to vetawarenessproject.com, I have a free nexus letter for veterans to be able to use. All you have to do is go to the resources tab, click down to where it says VA Nexus Letter, and it gives you the template of what a VA Nexus Letter should look like. Because now you're going to need to provide a nexus letter to show that it was a dislocated disc, even though it was a dislocated disc the whole time. Yet they misdiagnosed you. And that's the same with everything else. Anything else that you are being misdiagnosed for, you can see that and you can visualize it like, oh shit. Damn, they said I had insomnia. But you could have been having fucking sleep apnea the whole fucking time. That's why you couldn't fucking stay asleep. It wasn't because you had insomnia. You just said it as, well, I can't go to sleep. I need sleep meds and stuff like that. So you go and you take those sleep meds and you still can't fall asleep. And I was like, no, it's because you had sleep apnea, but they said it was just insomnia. Look at how quickly that just changed your whole diagnosis. Look at how quickly that just changed your whole disability claim. Where you went from, hey, I have sleep apnea, which if I need a CPAP machine, that's 50%, to insomnia, where it's bad, but it's not that debilitating. It's just you having lack of sleep. So you only get like 10, 20%. So look at the difference in just having those differences in diagnoses and not knowing the difference within the diagnostic codes to know that you are dealing with one thing that may still lead to another. And then it's like, hey, you can't even cause it as a secondary thing because it's just like you had a back strain, but they diagnosed it as that and not a dislocated disc. Now go through the paperwork, fight through that. Now you got to go through a private doctor. You got to go through a different entity just to try to prove and have them diagnose you, have them provide information, have them provide that imagery and show like, oh, yes, that is the issue. And it was just like people won't understand that. People won't visualize that. People won't see that. And that's one of the main things that we deal with as service members. We deal with the fact that we don't have that information or we don't put it together to visualize what is going on. If you are serving in active duty right now, if y'all know anybody serving on active duty right now, tell them to keep their medical records. Tell them to keep their profiles. Tell them to keep their pre-deployment health assessments, their sick call slips. Keep all of that because you need that documentation, because sometimes they get it right. A lot of the times they get it wrong. But then it becomes a fight with the VA, because once you out the military, these people don't give a shit. These people will fuck up your records and still try to use it against you. Say, oh, you did this. But then you ask them to provide the documentation and all of a sudden they don't have it. So how was it you were able to tell me I had this, but you couldn't even have the documentation to show that? And that's the same thing with dealing with the VA. You telling me you had this, but none of your documentation says you had that. So it becomes a fight that it does take a long time. For some veterans, it takes years, because then it's years of going to a doctor. Because it's not like you can just go to your doctor every day. Hey, I need to do this. I need to do that. No, you got to wait, because then they got to schedule an MRI. They got to check for the MRI, because, you know, the MRIs ain't just handed out on a daily basis. So you got to schedule an MRI to go show up to do the MRI. Then you got to wait for the results. Then after the results, you got to wait for that follow-up with your medical provider to see what the results said. Then from there, you are going to get those results, right? Oh, shit, you do have a dislocated disc. You know what? We're going to set you up for physical therapy. Now you got to go through that process. Now, while you're doing physical therapy, you have to go through the process of having that notated and them notating all the stuff that you went through physical therapy. And like, hey, how it's gotten worse, how it's not helping, how it's benefiting you. And then you can try to put that into your disability claim to show like, hey, look, this doctor just diagnosed me with this. This doctor showed, and I got my MRI showing I had a dislocating disc. I've been going to physical therapy for this time. But then you still need a nexus letter come, which is the fucking crazy part. Which is like, then you need the fucking nexus letter that is connecting what you have just been doing to show that you've been dealing with this issue, and then still connected to your time in service. So literally you can go through that process of seeing your doctor, getting an MRI, doing the follow-up, doing physical therapy, then doing some more physical therapy, then scheduling another follow up with your primary care to see about the physical therapy you've been doing to see how it's been doing. And then you are trying to provide that and put that into your documentation. And then the VA still says denied. And then you're like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck did I get denied? I got all this stuff, and it was just like, yeah, but where's the connection? I was like, you got all this shit after. Yeah, we see you got the dislocated disc. We see all this, but we don't see where we caused it. So literally most people go through all this process, which takes months, sometimes years, because it's depending on your doctor. Because you can get the MRI, but it's depending on your physical therapy. Are you doing physical therapy on a weekly basis? Are you doing it every 2 weeks? Every 3 weeks? When's your next follow-up? Oh, the next available appointment is 2 months out. That's all time consuming. That's all that takes away from people doing that. And that's for one issue. Most of us live, yeah, Brent, exactly. Exactly. That is just one claim. That was just your dislocated back. That wasn't even your PTSD. That wasn't even your ankle injury. That wasn't even your knee that got popped out and dislocated, your shoulder that dislocated, your lower back that has issues. You just had a cervical issue up top. You didn't even start with the bottom part. You didn't even get an MRI showing the bottom part. You just got the MRI showing the dislocated disc you had on the top, but you didn't even get and start on the dislocated or the slipping disc you had on the lumbar at your lower back. Now you're going through that process again. So it does become time consuming, and that's what people don't understand. It's just like, it's difficult, but you have to make sure you are doing it in the right way. You have to make sure you have the evidence. You have to make sure you can connect and bridge those things together to show, you know what? These people caused this. This is what caused this. This is how it's gotten worse. Because the thing is some people, what they try to do is that they try to tackle all these things at one time. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Because you still got to get an appointment for it. You can go to that appointment and break down everything you're dealing with your primary doctor. Sometimes they might knock out all the MRIs at once. Sometimes they'll be like, look, we got to schedule you for different MRIs. We're going to have to schedule an x-ray this one time. Then we're going to see what we see. And then when we see everything, then we might have to put you into physical therapy for everything. And then through physical therapy, like I said, it's the same process all over again. But now you might be doing everything all at once, or you still struggling to figure out what the hell is going on. And that's the problem where many veterans have that issue. We need to put the shit together. It's hard to put that suggestions for a nexus statement. John G, if you go to the website, because you're on TikTok, if you go to vetawarenessproject.com, that is my website, free of charge. You could just go. All you got to do is go to, let me break it down because I can show it so I know exactly what I'm talking about. So you go to vetawarenessproject.com. You can go there. You go to the resources tab. Under the resources tab, there's a link and it says VA Nexus letters. Click on that. You can read through the information. I just updated that. And I just updated it so a bit more clarification. And then I actually have an example template on there. You can use that template basically to present that to your medical provider or to your doctor so that way you can use that. And then your doctor knows what it is that it's doing. That's when you'll realize that. Because then most of the time, the issue with the Nexus letter is that most doctors don't want to write a Nexus letter because they don't know what the fuck they talking about. VA docs usually don't want to do it because they say it's a conflict of interest, which I don't understand. And how the fuck are you my doctor if it's a conflict of interest of you filling out documentation that's going to help my fucking disability claim? I've never fucking understood that part. Never understood that part. was like, that's one of the tougher things to actually explain and understand. Yes, and that's the thing. That's what most people don't have to do. And yes, and those are positive results for every. You can get positive results that way, but you have to do it correctly. So that's the thing on TikTok. I can't really show my screen. I'm doing this live on YouTube. On YouTube, I can actually show my screen. So if I go, if you watch me on YouTube, you can see me there, and I actually show you my website and I show you where to do this stuff. And it just gives you a breakdown. Do I need to make it prettier? Yes. I know it's not the prettiest fucking thing. I understand. But it gives you the information you need. I'm working on fixing it. I'm working on making it more appealing or visually appealing. But at the same time, I'm not too concerned with making it visually appealing. I'm making sure that people get the right information and they got the information to use. Because you could just go there, you check it out. Yo, what up, Dave? You check it out and you go, and it's a free example of a Nexus letter. This isn't something that you have to go and pay some entity $1,000 for. I was like, no, this is something that you can have as a Nexus letter. You have a template and you can walk through it with your doctor and say, hey, look, I am trying to file a disability claim for myself. This is an issue I'm having. I would like for you, if possible, I would like you to fill out this Nexus letter. This is a breakdown of what it is. This is a breakdown of what it is. This is how you go about it. This is the explanation. It's going and basing off of basically, like, if you go, because it's in my Google Drive, it's the information, the statement review, the medical opinion, the medical rationale, addressing contrary evidence. So if it's something that your previous doctor said this was it, but then your new doctor's like, no, that was incorrect and that was a misdiagnosis, that's where they need to put that. And then they're putting that, and then they're just signing off on it because it has their information, but it also has their medical opinion, it has their medical diagnosis, it has their medical evidence that they used, and that is now being sent through your disability claim for people to understand that. And once people understand that and see that, it's just like, oh, okay, as a doctor, I know I can assist you now with this because I can give you this information and I can fill this out because now I know what I'm doing. A lot of doctors don't want to touch a Nexus letter because they have no fucking idea what it is. They never served in the military. They don't want to put something on, they don't want to sign off on something with their names, their credentials that they feel might have them lose their job. Oof, John. But those are the things that people, and for stuff like that, you have to make sure you have statements for. You have buddy statements. The thing is when cases like that, it was just like the military, you can't go off of what they say. It's you still have to do your due diligence. Don't go off of, oh, this won't happen and this one. If you have it documented, keep it documented. Make sure you have that information. Make sure you keep that documentation because that documentation, like, hey, maybe right now you ain't dealing with anything. Maybe right now you're not dealing with anything to the point where it's affecting you that bad, but maybe down the road it starts getting worse. But now you have the documentation. And that's why I say you got to keep those medical records. If you've been dealing with something, put it like this. If you got out the military and you've been dealing with something that basically you know was caused by the military, when you continue to be seen for that, you should be going and checking on that. You should make sure that you are visualizing that. Make sure that you are getting the information you need to provide that instance of this is how it happened. This is when it happened. This happened in, like John said, 1994. Here's my documentation showing that this happened in 94. I've been dealing with it since then and taking care of it like that. Hold on one second. Yeah. So that's the thing that people don't understand and don't talk about. Those are all things and influences that cause issues while you are being a veteran. It's understanding those issues, understanding those talking points, understanding that there are resources out there that you don't have to pay for. Like, hey, look, I do these workshops every Sunday. I've been concerned and basing it mostly on my schoolwork these past couple of weeks, and I've been slacking on this because I'm graduating in a couple of weeks with my bachelor's. That to me right now is my importance to be able to actually then concentrate all on this. But I went, yeah, John, and that's why you have to notate that and you have to make sure that's there. But it's just like I said, with the Nexus letter link, I just went ahead and I updated this and I clarified it more, put a better explanation to the stuff. And then I put it as like, what should a strong VA Nexus letter for disability claims include? Appreciate that, John. I was just like, thank you, Rose. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate y'all. I was just like, I know for like Annette, which is one of my members on YouTube. I know I've been slacking and I'm sorry. It was just like I haven't been making enough content. I haven't been making videos. I used to post videos every week. It was like a did you know? Did you know this or did you know that? I was doing that weekly. That stopped. Started doing like quick tips, like quick information for veterans. That stopped. I've been doing these workshops and I haven't been concentrating on a specific thing, but it's just like I'm working. I'm just trying to graduate, y'all. I'm trying to getting this shit done. I'm almost at the finish line, but at the same time, it's concentrating on making these things. Like I changed this up, and like I said, I still need to do a better like look to it and stuff like that. But the next one is also the disability benefit questionnaires, where I'm going to break it down. Where if you look at it, I have what the DBQs are, how to utilize them, but then also it's now breaking it down because I have a picture of all those DBQs within the site. So if you need a DBQ, you just any thoughts on that compared to a VA rep? John, I so the question is like John said he switched to the DAV and is like any thoughts compared to a VA rep? My thoughts on having a VSO is you're not paying for it. You're a veteran, you shouldn't be paying for assistance to do something that you earned, something you worked for. You you shouldn't. Shouldn't. All of those are free. The thing is are you yourself also educating yourself on this issue? Are you educating yourself on the Code of Federal Regulations? Are you going in depth and making sure to analyze what your disability rating is, what your diagnostic code is, what the possible rating percentages is you can receive? Because for me, thank you, Annette. I was like, for me, it's like, yes, these people can assist you, but you need to make sure you are assisting yourself through the process. You need to make sure that you are on top of it also, because it depends. You can go to different locations and different stuff, and some of them may be good, some of them may be trash. You could go to one DAV location and they could be the best fucking VSO, and then you go to another DAV situation and this person is worthless. So you can go to it. I always suggest going to a VSO, but always make sure to educate yourself when you going over there. Yeah, because if you made it this far by yourself, sometimes that extra help will help. But the thing is when you do it that way, now you keep these people on their toes. Because then they know they're dealing with somebody that's educated on the issue. So they're not going to bullshit you if you know what you're doing. A VSO can't run around you and be like, yeah, I'm going to do this and do that. And if you don't know any better, you just going to go off of what they tell you. It was like, oh, he said he was going to file this for me, so he did. And then come to find out he didn't file that. He filed something else. Well, you didn't know. If you would have known, you would have gone through the process with him and he would have been like, hey, I'm going to file this. And then you hit him with the, well, I know that's this code and stuff like that, but I was always looking at that and they're going to look at, what the fuck? So how you know this? What you here for? That's when they start looking at it like, what the, why are you here right now? Like, why are you asking me all these questions? It seems like you got a good hold on it. It was like, well, I needed more assistance because I know you have more knowledge on this. I know some knowledge on it, but that's how you keep these people on their toes. And that's how these people learn to understand, like, oh shit, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but this is how this works. I understand how the process works. I understand I'm going to need this documentation. I understand I'm going to need medical evidence, whether it's an x-ray, CAT scan, MRI. I understand I'm going to need a nexus letter from an outside source to provide that. So I'm just trying to see what else you can tell me that can assist me with this claim. Because I already know the footwork, but there's sometimes there's things that you don't think of. Like that's what I tell people with buddy statements and lay statements, your own statement. Those go so far because they give a better explanation of the stuff that you're going through. Because most of the time when you go to these CMP exams, you don't understand half of the shit they're asking you. You don't know why they're asking you that. It's just like, how does it affect you? My back hurts. Okay, we already knew that, but like, how does it affect you? I was just like, well, I can't do this. I was like, okay, so that's the only thing that it doesn't allow you to do? I was like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, so there's more stuff. And it was just like, that's the part you need to elaborate. No, just like, because the thing is you got to remember, these people ain't getting paid like these other entities. When people go to these entities that pay or they charge you, they do that knowing that they're going to get money back. So yeah, they're going to work harder because they know if I can get you from 0 to 100%, and you are going to have to pay me a certain amount of that percentage of money you're going to get, best believe they're going to work harder. These VSOs go through a whole thing. It's the same thing with like the people at the VA. These VA raiders, they go through a lot of fucking things. They see a lot of veteran files. They're not going in depth on all of them because they ain't getting paid anymore to do it. Some of these people are high speed, some of them are not. Oh, just like sometimes an attorney and thing like, but that's what I say with certain things is just like, if you know what you're doing, go and ask questions. There's nothing wrong to go and ask these people questions. Go and understand what it is. Like, what are we doing? Why am I doing this? What is this instance? What's going on with this situation? Why is it that I have this in my medical records, but it got denied or stuff like that? You can always ask questions to these people and they will provide you answers. But then at the same time, it's like, hey, I didn't know I had the ability to write or fill out a DBQ. I was just like, oh, they have stuff for hypertension. Oh shit, look, I could have filled this out and that would have been part of my claim too. People don't know that. It was like, oh, the musculoskeletal system. Like, here we go. We drop down all the way to the musculoskeletal. Well, I could just click. Hold on. That's the thing about this. Is a musculoskeletal. You just click on it. It'll take you to the section. Now that you at the section, it's just like, amputation conditions, ankle conditions, back throw, lumbar spine, bones and other skeletal conditions, elbow and forearm, foot conditions, hand and finger, hip and thigh, knee and lower leg, muscle injuries, neck, cervical spine, osteomyelitis, shoulder or arm, and wrist. Those are all things that you can file a DBQ for that would assist you with your claim, but most people don't know to fill that out. And that's something where going to a VSO, they might inform you that. Does it always happen? No, but it's something that can help you be successful because now they have that documentation to show, oh shit, okay. I was just like, well, he has the nexus letter. Now we can just have him fill out the DBQ, which will strengthen his claim. But most people will go into that and they don't know that. They don't understand that. They don't know. It's just like, oh, they're going to ask me about this or they're going to want this information. And that's where it gets, that's that education part. That's that part that we need to be better at learning and understanding when we see those things. Because that's all information that's there. It's just you need a better job of providing. You need to do a better job of providing it. Because if you're not providing it, they don't like. If you didn't care about your own claim, why do you expect somebody else to be more cautious with it than you yourself were? That make no sense. That make no sense that you think somebody else is gonna make sure, like, well, I gotta make sure I'm doing this the right way better than you did it yourself. You're not gonna be successful that way. That shit don't work that way. People realize that and they see it that way, and it's just like, you know what? Yeah, I got shit to do. It's Friday. I'm gonna look at this fucking thing real quick. I was like, well, yeah, I don't see any evidence. Denied, and go about my weekend. Not saying that's right, but you can tell that shit happens. But if you have all the documentation in there, you have all the information in there, you don't got to worry about it because it actually has it there. And it's just like, you know what? Even if I am a damn shitbag of a damn VA raider or a damn CMP examiner, I can't deny this because everything is here. And even then, sometimes you still get denied. But that don't mean that it's going to change the situation. That doesn't mean that you should deny what you're doing or you should stop. Because a lot of the times that's another problem we have. Veterans just stop. They get that denied, no service connection, and they be like, man, fuck this shit. I'm done with the VA. No, there's errors that are made. Mistakes can be made. And we have to understand that the mistakes can be made. These things happen. The thing, John, is just like I try to keep it as least political in these workshops. When I do my lives on TikTok, most of the time it's talking nonsense against MAGA. That's usually what it is. But the thing is that this is the part where veterans I have a problem with. Because the thing is they fail to realize that a lot of the a lot of the people don't realize these things and don't see these things, that it's in writing. It's the same thing with the VA. All of this stuff is in writing. All of this stuff is either in the Code of Federal Regulations, or all this stuff is in the information that's there. All this stuff is provided to you for you to view and you have access to. But most people don't want to read. Most people don't want to educate themselves. You know how many more successful claims or disability claims we would have if people actually decided to go and look at the Code of Federal Regulations and actually understand the fact that it's just like, hey, there is a rating system. There's different percentages you can obtain. It's not that you just going to get 100% because your back hurt. And that's a lot of the problems that we have with a lot of people, is that they don't understand that metric. They don't want to do the legwork. They don't want to do the research. They're happy and fine with somebody telling them something and them going and running with it. Some of them still have that military mentality where they got told to do something. They got told, hey, this is what you got to do, or this is what it is. And most of them are like, you know what? He said that's what it is. That's what it is. I'm not going to look into it. I'm not going to look at it, the regulation. It was just like, hey, your haircut is out of regs. Well, I guess my haircut is out of regs. Now, hold on. Let me check the fucking AR 670-1. Well, according to the fucking regulation, my haircut is within fucking regs. But that person just told me they were out of regs. And what did that person go off of? They still stuck on the fact that they thought they were out of regs. It was just like, it's in writing. It's just being able to read the stuff. But then you also have Republican politicians that are veterans that are in these committees that are saying that, hey, these budget cuts are not going to affect service members. And then the problem I have with that is just like, you as a congressperson don't even fucking use the VA. So how you gonna tell other veterans that this won't affect the issues when you're cutting budget, cutting personnel, yet you don't even use the VA yourself because you have your own medical because you're a fucking congressperson? It was just like, cuts happen. There's nowhere, anywhere where you telling me that shit is not gonna look good. It was just like, not all Republican vets are bad. Some are good. Because this is the thing I like to tell people, is just like, when it came to the PACT Act, there was like about 22 Republicans that actually voted for the PACT Act. The rest said no. You know what that is? Hey, we are going to try to take care of our veterans that went to Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, fucking Bosnia, anywhere that you could have had anything, or you were in Qatar, Kuwait, and anywhere where we know you could have gotten toxic exposure. We're gonna try to protect you going forward to make sure you're doing it, so that way we appreciate what you did and we appreciate what harm you were in and what may develop from you. And what? Nah, we gonna vote against this shit. See, and those are the stories we want to hear. I'm glad you're still here, John. But that's the thing that they don't talk about. Those are the things that influence people. Those are the things that have the biggest effect in this country towards veterans. If you are not voting for the things that can enhance and develop veterans' benefits and their stuff, you are taking away from veterans. There's no way around that. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to bullshit people. But people want to keep on bullshitting about the fact that it's not going to affect veterans. If I am taking away resources that were put in place to help veterans because they needed the resources, you mean to tell me it's going to be successful? You mean to tell me that all the people that were hired to make sure to take care of the PACT Act claims, all of a sudden you're just getting rid of almost all of them? So it's going to slow down the process, even though we've had an influx of people filling out PACT Act claims? Because shit, most veterans right now still don't know what the fuck the PACT Act is. If people are serving right now, active duty service members have no idea what the fuck the PACT Act is. They're going to get out and they're going to go through the process and not even know what the fucking PACT Act is because they weren't paying attention to it because they were in service. So all these people that are still in that have been to Iraq multiple times, that have been to Afghanistan multiple times, they're still serving. They ain't paying attention to the PACT Act. They ain't paying attention to the resources and the benefits that are being cut from them because they're not going to get to that point till they're out. And then once they get it, they're going to realize, like, damn, how the fuck were we supposed to take care of ourselves if they ain't shit? These are all resources that are there to assist veterans. You keep cutting these programs, you're going to have less people wanting to fucking join. And I think serving this country is one of the greatest things anybody can fucking do. It gives you great fucking opportunity, gives you great benefits, gives you great family that you end up meeting. But at the same time, that stuff that... Yeah, I muted it. Hold on. Had the kid pop in real quick. But those are the things that is just like, these are the things where we have to influence and we have to teach our service members now. Like, you have to pay attention to these things because these are the things that people don't vote on. Look at that. It took 6 months to claim my daughter as my dependent. But firing that, it was just like, it's going to slow the process down. Because the thing is simple stuff. It was just like, this is the thing. It's like, if you were a service member, you understand being pulled in 8 different fucking directions when you had all the fucking additional duties. When you had all those additional duties, something fell off. Something wasn't doing as good as it was because you had this additional duty. Oh, you did this, you were at the arms room. But then also you were the UPL. Then also they wanted to put you as the barracks manager. And they did this. And it was just like, something fell. You weren't keeping up with everything. So now don't expect VA workers to be put with so much work on top of them and for them to be super successful with it. The reason that there was so many more people added was to distribute that. So you had more people being able to see all these extra claims that were coming in because of the PACT Act. Like I've stated before, and I've shown it before, there was an influx of almost 2 million extra claims since the PACT Act came in. So you are basically telling me that there were 2 million fucking veterans basically that had issues that were caused because of the PACT Act that never were able to file before, never got assistance, were basically paying out of pocket for medication or treatment. And this you wanted to say no to? So this is information that I just got from Annette, one of the members on my YouTube channel. It was like they just stated the next time a VA healthcare provider tells you they will not complete a form for you, tell them about VHA, the Veterans Health Administration Directive 1134 parentheses 2. But be respectful when you say it. So let me see if I can find this. VHA Directive 1134 parentheses 2. Downloading it now. So this is what it says. So provision. So I'm gonna read it out. Annette, thank you as always for providing this information. It's always great to be able to have you here and help me with these things. So this is what it reads. So provision of medical statements and completion of forms by healthcare providers. Reason for issue. Let me see. Can I hate the fact that sometimes I can't. Give me a second. I'll see if I can put it on screen. Screen captures, Adobe. Why can't I see it? No, that's not what I wanted. Okay, now it should be. I should have it on screen now. Nope, still didn't want to fucking show up. What the fuck? Oh, because I have it. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. So on my YouTube channel, I have it so that you can see it and you can actually see what I'm reading, so that way you can go over it with me and you can see what I'm talking about. So the breakdown of, I said meant kind to the provider. I was like, you know how us veterans are. just like, so this is how it reads. Reason for issue: the Veterans Health Administration Directive establishes policy requiring VHA healthcare providers, when requested and consistent with other VHA policies, to assist patients in completing Department of Veteran Affairs, VA, and non-VA medical forms, and to provide patients with medical statements with respect to their medical conditions and functionality. Summary of major changes. This directive contains an amendment in paragraph to remove mandate, yada, yada, yada. Directive provides updated guidance and resources for providers to assist with the completion of medical statements and forms. Provides examples of the various types of medical statements and forms providers may be asked to complete. Requires each medical facility to identify a local medical statements and forms point of contact to serve as a resource and assist local facility level staff and patients with questions or issues related to the completion of VA and non-VA forms or provisions of medical statements. Let me see if it has it. The question I have, Annette, is has this been stricken down? Because I know there was a couple of changes that they made because of these things. So I'm trying to find out. I just want to find out if this is actually there. Because I know there was something that happened, and it was a couple of months ago where it was something where it was like certain things I know were being stricken down when it came to like writing these. So that's why I need to see if this is still like up to date. Because this was from 2016, at least the one that populated for me. So it's just trying to ensure that this thing is just like, okay, this is there, but also that it's still viable for people to use. Okay. for. So I'm looking at the PHA publications now. But of course, the shit isn't in numerical order. Who the hell makes these websites? Because I'm looking at it like this now. So on the vertical, y'all can see it. Oh, y'all weren't able to see the. Damn, so that whole time they didn't see the. Shit. Add. And then. There. So this is what I was reading. Definitions, disability, medical opinion. A medical opinion is a provider's, these are the things. Assessment of function or assessment. An assessment of function provides data on how an individual relates and adjusts to their environment when performing a specific task. Assessments of function generally will include measures of motion, strength, pain, endurance, flare-ups, safety, and the ability to perform and repeat meaningful tasks. The disability questionnaire. I think these are the things that have to. A provision of medical statements and completion of forms by the establishes policy requiring VHH to assist patients to complete Department of Affairs. No. So basically, this falls under it. So the assessment, the disability benefits questionnaire, the functional capacity evaluation, medical opinion, personal representative, and provider. Except when specifically prohibited, it is VHA policy that providers, when requested, must assist patients in completion of VA and non-VA medical forms and provide medical statements with respect to the patient's medical condition and functionality. So it basically does say that they have to, it has not been rescinded. Okay, so this is something I will download, and I will keep that there. I should have downloaded it already. Let me just double check that it is in my downloads folder. Yes, it is. So I will have to rename that. Okay. Thank you, Annette, for that. Since it has not been rescinded, now you know to use that. Now, basically, if they say they cannot fill it out, you can just probably print this out for them. The next time you see them, just print out this document, take it to them, and just be like, hey, according to this, just like, I don't want to cause no more issues, but according to this, this is what this says. Because it says it here, examples of VA medical forms completed upon patient or beneficiary requests include, but are not limited to, application for clothing allowance form, aid and attendance pension forms, housebound pension forms, survivor pension forms, vocational rehabilitation forms, disability benefits questionnaires, or DBQs, VBA life insurance forms. Note: for more information on the VBA life insurance programs and forms, visit the VBA site, which is on there. Let me see. Hold on. Where did see if I can copy this link. No, I don't want to give Google feedback. Because the thing is every time you click on it, what it does, it just sends you to download. It downloads the file. So I'm trying to, let me see, copy link address. So I put this here, and I will put this here. I don't know if you're going to be able to save that off of on TikTok, but that's basically the link to the publication that says they basically have to assist you with writing it. So at least you have that in writing. And that way you can read over that. If it specifies anything like that, you have that information there to be able to understand that these are the things that they have to provide assistance with. But thank you for that, Annette. That'll be definitely beneficial to people, for people to understand and see that this is something that they can use. This is something that they can use as a document to say, hey, I understand you may not want to, but according to this, you were able to copy it. Nice. Thank you, Vegas. So that way, if you need to have that, it's on there. You have this as a document that you can pull up. You can show them like, hey, this is something that says you need to assist me with this, even though you don't like it, because I know it looks like a conflict of interest. Which, hey, if Elon Musk can fucking do it, I don't see why you can't. But that's a whole nother story. Should be option of copy. Nice. Okay, appreciate that, Vegas. But that's the one thing that is just like, need to pay attention to it. That's something that you can use. That's something that's definitely beneficial. Yeah. So Jimmy says they did 8 in attendance on me. Yeah. So it's just like, if they have it, it's just like you have to see that's where I say knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Because if you have the knowledge and you know this is there, that allows you to say these things. If you have the knowledge on how the CFR works, that's knowledge that you use for your disability claim. If you have knowledge knowing that, hey, this documentation is going to work or that documentation is going to work, that is knowledge that you have that you will be able to understand, you will be able to highlight, and you will be able to tell them like, hey, this is what this says. Or you know that when it comes to, hey, your disability claim might have gotten denied, it was like, you know what? According to the CFR, I fit this description, this, and this. It was like when they did the gynometer and they saw how much movement I had, I was under this rating. So how is it that I got a lower rating even though the CFR says differently? Those are the things, and that's how people educate themselves to be more successful in the thing. It's not about scheming the system, because I am not a fan of scheming the system. That's why I just educate people on the information. You do with the information you want to do. That's not on me. What you end up doing with the information that I assist you with, that's on you. But I am just making sure that you are being taught and you understand what it is you're doing, what it is you're looking into, how it is that you can be successful with your claim with the evidence and the stuff you can actually provide. And that's all it is. Once people understand it, and once people see that, it's just like, oh, I can do this. I've done that. I got this paperwork. I got this evidence. Oh, okay, I should fall in line with this percentage of my rating. It shouldn't be a lower rating. I should get 30%. I shouldn't get 10%. And then that lets you formulate knowing how you getting to 100%. Or how you're getting the best and highest rating you possibly can, and know where you're at. Because now you know that dislocated disc, the max you can get is 40%. The max you can get for your hip is 30%. The max you can get for sleep apnea is 50%. The most you can get for migraines, 50%. The most you can get for mental health issues is 100%. But there's criteria that will limit what percentage you have. When you have all that information, then you put it together. They made a special, nice, Jimmy. So, because that's the thing, they will do that. The thing is that most people don't know that. Most people don't know that you can ask them for help. But like I said, most of the time they don't want to do it because you don't know that they have to help you with it. So if they tell you, nah, I don't got to do that, and they'll be like, well, according to this directive, then the tune might change. But if you don't know any better, they don't know any better. They could just be like, I'm not supposed to do this when they actually should be doing it. But if you don't know any better, you're going to leave that doctor's office, or you're going to leave that appointment not having the information you need. And then what happens? Then what do you get into? Then what issue do you fall into? Because now you fell into that problem where it's just like, oh, shit. I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that. But that's another thing, because I'm going to look now that I have this. Hold on. I got to favorite this. Because now this VHA publications, that's going to be a lot of information there that I know I can read, and it'll be a bunch of stuff. You can just find the information and use that. Like I said, it's about the reading. It's about educating yourself on the stuff and learning these different things and information. Because the thing is I don't have all the information. I'm thankful for people like Annette. I was just like, and I'm thankful for other people that come and watch the lives. Because the thing is I don't have the information. I don't have all the information. I'm learning as I go also. I'm pretty good at certain things and I know a lot about certain topics, but then certain topics I'm not an expert on. And I have no problem with admitting that. But I will try to lead you in the direction that would allow you to actually learn and educate yourself also in a manner that is successful for you. And like I said, that's why I have the website, vetawarenessproject.com. That's the same thing that's on there. That's for you to visualize. That's for you to go and check. Oh, just like you have resources where you can find VA forms, you can find the DBQs where you can just download them off of my Google Drive. You got government representation, which will show you where and who it is that's leading us when it comes to the veterans committees of the Senate and the veteran committees of the House of Representatives, so that you have their information. If you want to reach out to them, you can just go on the website, click on them, and you know who is in charge of what. So if you want to send them an email or you want to contact them, that's how you could go about it. And then you have the Nexus letter. And the Nexus letter is just as simple as just like, hey, it's a template for you to use. It's a template that, hey, now that you have this template, you can have this and take it to your VA representative with Directive 1134-2 and use that and be like, hey, I have this. This is the Nexus letter. I even pre-filled out some of it for you. And you can do it that way. But like I said, we have the website. Like I said, graduate next month. Once that's done, I am going to actually work on creating seminars. The seminars will be a paid option. That will be something paid. The workshops will continue to be free every Sunday. But there will be seminars that will be more specific and more in-depth and more information that it just pertains to these certain things, which will be for the filing a disability claim. I'm developing a seminar that will be strictly for that. And that will be a 2-day operation where the first day teaching you certain things, the next day after you've completed homework I gave you, we will go over the homework and then we will go through the questions and answer the stuff that way. So that's going to be a 2-day program that we are basically developing, that it will be a paid seminar because that will take my time and I will have to do it. But then these Sunday workshops will continue to be free on Sundays. That will be the main flagship Veteran Awareness Project seminar. And that's what we are going to continue to build off of. That's what we will do. And that is something that it will be a paid thing, but it's not going to be no $300 or some crazy. Might start off at like $50 or $100. Maximum will be $100, but it will be a 2-day event where basically you are being taught the disability claims process, the information you need, all the documentations, all the different forms. Will it be on Eventbrite? Annette, that's the one thing I'm still trying to formulate it, because it's gonna go through the website. So this will be something that it'll be on the website where you'll be able to sign up through there, where I will be able to place like dates. So it's just like, hey, this will be maybe something that happens once a month or 2 times a month. And then it's just like, hey, we'll have our sign up roster. You have a sign up. If you're able to make it in, you sign up. If the class fills up, because I'm still trying to figure out where I want to do it through so that I can maximize being able to have people, but then also be able to use more resources within the seminar. So in cases of making like something that I always like do, working in groups. So I know there's certain apps that allow you to like breakout rooms. So like literally if we're going over something and I have something that has to be covered, is to break people into separate rooms and let them discuss the stuff there. And then we come back to do about it. So that way people explain and have their thing. And then it builds a little bit of community within that where people are associating what they've gone through and stuff like that. And they could just have it as a way to just explain stuff that they understand or they don't understand. Because the thing is the seminar is going to basically go from, it's basically going to be like, you don't know shit. You don't know anything. It's going to be a breakdown of you don't know anything to this is everything you need to know. So in those 2 days, you are going to go from, hey, you might have stuff that you already know about, might be redundant to some parts, but I still want people to be able to interact and still have questions and stuff like that. And then at the back end, it's still a Q&A session. And then I'm also working on maybe giving y'all t-shirts or something for being a part of the seminar. So that way is like a thank you for being a part of the seminar, but also having something that you can remember for being in the seminar, and it helped you process and become a more successful veteran after time. So that's still that's still in the works. But like I said, I'm done on the 16th of May. I am done. And then everything will be devoted, basically all the time will be devoted into making sure veterans are guided, they're taken care of, the website will be worked on, newsletter will be created, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm happy as hell that my school's gonna be done. I'm happy as hell, bro. You don't even know. They were just like, but all that stuff is gonna be there, and it's just gonna be a whole major thing that we will continue to create. Public administration, Brent. So master's degree in public administration. Funny, I say I don't want to get into politics, but that's basically what I'm getting my degree in, to get myself into politics. But it's also to be able to know and understand how policy writing has become and how to use it to be successful, how to operate and work nonprofit organizations, because this may become one on the back end. But those are just things, it's just like with time, formulating it. Oh, Annette, that's all in the process. I was just like, I know people don't like to pay. I understand that. He said, future Congressman Cruz calling it now. Hey, maybe one day. But yeah, LLC is already created. The Veteran Awareness Project LLC. That's the LLC. So this is already a LLC. The website is made. If you go all the way to the bottom, it explains that as a little disclaimer. And it basically says the Veteran Awareness Project LLC is not an accredited agent, VSO, attorney, or entity recognized by the Department of Veteran Affairs and not affiliated with the VA. This website does not assist veterans with preparation, presentation, and prosecution of VA disability claims for VA benefits. I'm doing it as a education thing. This cruise won't run to Cancun. And it's just basically it's an educational thing. I understand that veterans ain't gonna want to pay and stuff like that, but that's why I'm still planning to do these workshops every Sunday. So every Sunday without fail, I am still going to do these free workshops and these free Q&As and stuff like that. But if somebody wants to go and wants to get an in-depth understanding of these things and how to be successful, then hey, if you got to pay $50 for that, I was just like, $50 for the possible thousands of dollars extra that you may end up making on the back end. I was just like, hey, you don't want to take that chance? I'm fine with that too. I'm gonna still do this regardless, and I'm gonna still try to educate people, and I'm still trying to help veterans out, whether people want to pay for it or not. It'll just be an option that is there, but it is something that basically we will continue to grow over time because master's degree is done. I don't think I'm looking to get my PhD anytime soon. I might do it, but that's not something that I will say is just like, I need to get this done kind of stuff. So that's something that working through and stuff like that. But that's why I just wanted to put that out there so that y'all are aware, y'all watching, people on YouTube, that's where it's going to be the main focus. On TikTok, we do have the Veteran Awareness Project TikTok. That's the little one on the guest box up there. That is the account for the veteran stuff. I'm trying to grow that so that I can do those live strictly on that channel. Because right now I don't have enough followers on that channel. So it's kind of hard to go live. So I go live through this one on TikTok because TikTok, this is my main account. But the one that's in the request box, that is the Veteran Awareness Project TikTok page. And that's what we're going to do. So a PhD is tough, man. Yeah, see, I know Yvonne on Facebook. She charges $120 for her sessions. I'm not trying to do all that. I was just like, she has been a great resource also, but it was just like, This is something that I'm doing because I don't think it's just like it's something to just help veterans. It's just like it's not gonna make sure like I'm not giving you no promises. She likes to make promises like, hey, if you go through my seminar, you gonna make it, you gonna get I was like, nah, I'm trying to teach you the basics and I'm trying to teach you the fundamentals. But at the same time, my seminars are not only going to be on disability claims. That's the difference that I don't know if she does that. I know hers are because she used to be a claims agent, I think, or something like that. That she goes and she does her sessions basically strictly on disability claims. I'm doing more seminars than that. This is just going to be the main one for disability claims, but there's a whole pipeline of stuff I've already started breaking down, writing, and putting together for veterans that'll be seminars, but those will be even cheaper. Those will be like maybe like a $25. It'll probably be half price, $25 for these seminars. But it's gonna be like an in-depth breakdown of different topics where it's just like if you don't know anything, you're gonna leave knowing everything, and you gonna know like it's a wait and see thing, but it's something I'm developing, something I've been working on. I got a whole bunch of files already working on this. The website, as y'all can see, keeps on being worked on, keeps on being improved, and there's more thoughts and stuff like that. It's just with the time I will now have where it's like I don't have to worry about reading anything that I'm being told to read, and I can just what's up, Linda? It was just like I will be able to invest all of my time and all of my energy to build the Veteran Awareness Project. And that will be the main focus going forward. This will be my full-time job, basically, will be the Veteran Awareness Project. And that's all I will be doing. That's all I will be concentrating on. That is all that I will be putting my effort into. That's all the resources. So when it comes to like donations, gifts on TikTok and all that is going basically right back into the Veteran Awareness Project to basically help build all these things and supplement anything that I have already to try to make it grow even bigger. So that's basically it. That's what we're going with. That's the process, is just basically to build this, and then just at the end of the day, just helping veterans be more aware and taking advantage, well, not even taking advantage, using all these benefits that they've earned, whether it's school, whether it's employment, whether it's tax exemptions, whether it's dependent exemptions, whether it's state benefits, is just basically or housing, the VA loan. It's just basically to have different things that benefit veterans on a full scale and not just developing it for disability claims. Because if you look at it, that's the one thing I've noticed, that I'm creating something different compared to all these other entities, because all these entities are trying to make sure that they make money off of you through your disability claim. I'm not gonna lie, I will make some money off of it if people are going to the seminar, but at the same time, you're gonna be educated on everything of being a veteran and not just your disability claim. So that way, yes, you can be successful going through your disability claim, but you will also be successful in everything else. Knowing the ins and outs of the VA loan, knowing the ins and outs of using the GI Bill, knowing the ins and outs of using the VRE program, like all those things, is just putting those things together and putting it all and just having a whole program that, hey, you heard of the Veteran Awareness Project? It was just like, I'm aware as shit now because of all the stuff I got informed with that I didn't know, intricacies and stuff like that. Because it's just the more you know, the more you learn. Like I said, I learned a lot from you guys because a lot of you contribute. Annette has been one of my biggest contributors and is a member of the YouTube channel. She has contributed immensely to assisting me with documentation, assisting me with information. Shit, that publication of having your provider fill out that information, that stuff, that there's a whole lot of wealth in the military community, whether you're active or veteran. And it's just trying to make sure that we can create something that will help assist all these veterans in all factors and all manners, where you have the information, you have the guides, you have the stuff that would allow you to be successful at all times as a veteran at present day and in the future. And that's basically what we're about. That's what I'm about. That's what I want to make sure, and that's what I want to go and continue growing and have as something to be remembered by. It would be like, hey, at least I know I served this country, even though there's all the stupidity going on and all this craziness. At least I know I did something that would assist veterans and take care of veterans and their families moving forward, even through all the turmoil that we may experience. And I'm okay with that. But it is what it is. May 16th, I am done. I will complete my master's degree, and y'all gonna get tired of me because y'all gonna see me a whole lot more often. But if y'all haven't, if you are on TikTok or if you are on YouTube, please make sure to follow each one of those pages. So the YouTube link and the stuff is in my bio on TikTok. Make sure you follow the other my TikTok account for the Veteran Awareness Project, which that's what it's called. Check that out. Give it a follow. Same thing on YouTube. Go to YouTube. Do me a solid and subscribe to it so that way when information and videos is pushed out, you get the notification or you're up to date on it. Any views, any stuff like that helps. I was just like, TikTok doesn't assist with views. That's only on gifts. I don't ask people for gifts. On YouTube, as long as you're watching, that gets me some revenue. So that's why it's just like I push people. It's just like, as long as you're watching, I can make some revenue. You don't have to donate. You don't have to give gifts. If you want to, I appreciate it. But it's not something that's necessary, because it's just trying to help vets and do something good for society by making sure that the people that made that sacrifice to join our military and serve our military have the benefits and the things that will assist them going forward in the future. That's all. So I appreciate y'all. I'm going to call it now. Linda, thank you. As always, I'm going to call it now. But like I said, if you have, please make sure to follow the accounts, all the pages and all that stuff. I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate y'all what y'all do. I appreciate y'all service. I appreciate y'all sacrifices. I appreciate you trying to educate and help educate people. And I appreciate y'all the most for that. I will see y'all most likely. TikTok will probably see me soon and whatnot. We'll see. But like I said, till the end of this month, by the start of June, it'll be my birthday celebration. We probably do like a birthday stream or something like that on YouTube, and then maybe make it like a subathon or just basically like a marathon stream, just like doing it just to make sure we got this stuff there. So I appreciate y'all. I'll put that in the works. Y'all be hearing from me. Y'all take care. As always, be good to one another. Take care of one another. Look out for one another. Love one another. And stay marvelous while doing it, y'all. I'm Just Cruz. This has been our Veteran Awareness Project Workshop. We hold them every Sunday, 12 noon Central Time. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all being here. Y'all take care. I'll see y'all on the next one.